欢迎收听杂物间，
You are listening to the Storage Room,
你最好的口袋朋友。
your best pocket friend.
So hey Stephen, and you
Okay.
have joined our last session about these AI lover or virtual lover or the dating games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you shared your thoughts towards this this topic. But the thing is, we want to know you a little bit more. So, well, we have known each other for a very long time, but seems like you are still the most mysterious one to us. Right?
Okay.
So like you just introduce yourself like, okay, so you're American and you're now living in Shenzhen. And the thing is, what we can see right now, like you have both the heritage, you know, of these two cultures. So is there anything you would like to tell us? Like when did you come to China and anything like that? Yeah.
I think it was after the 2020. After 2020, I was teaching at a university for a little bit before I decided to take a job to do pharmaceutical research in China and sort of to get out of the very politicized and kind of dangerous waters of America, or sort of to get a little bit perspective of what it's like to live in another country and live in another culture. And this culture has a lot of kind of personal connection because that's where my family is from, and my parents are from Shenzhen. So I'm sort of living kind of the unrealized dream of them seeing their son living in Shenzhen, work as a, being by myself, sort of trying to mitigate this American and Chinese identity.
Or
Well, you've
theories.
mentioned about what brought you to China in terms of from a professional aspect. What about the personal aspect? Like, if you have a very fulfilling, let's say, connected personal life in America, wouldn't you feel kind of disconnected when you move to China, or do you have a lot of connections personally
I think that's
to
a
US?
I think that's a fair judgment, actually, because when I was in the States, I sort of made friends very easily because a lot of people think very similar in a very similar way as I do, and they're very progressive. Our politics are very similar, and sort of our conversation would be very smoothly, and our references are pretty much the same, and we don't have to explain our jokes and explain our cultural references. But whereas here, there's a disconnect between me and a lot of the people, what people are going through in their day-to-day life. But this is my way of saying, right, I sort of lived a life of, being very easy, I kind of making easy friends and making sort of living a life in a very progressive way. Now it's time for me to sort of see what it's like on the other side of the coin and see what people are dealing with, and sort of trying to, I know a lot of the times my progressive mentality rub people the wrong way. So this is me also trying to kind of hide my progressive edges a little bit so that it doesn't sort of rub people the wrong way. Because a lot of times I know people are not as progressive as, the progressive left in America are. So I need to sort of decide on my own terms how to interact with them so that my time here is not hostile.
You keep using the word progressive. So you've lived in China for 4 years, right? Or for about 4 years. So how do you like it in your so-called more right-leaning kind of environment?
There's good and bad. The good thing about China is that it's more convenient, it's more expedient. You can go around your daily life without interacting with a lot of people because everything you can just pay on your phone, or you don't have to interact with a lot of people. So there's the convenience part and expediency part of it. But sort of there's the other part of it that's makes me feel a little bit isolated, especially in terms of making friends and try to make a connection with the people that I do in with the with people who are Chinese, who are native Chinese. It's very hard for me to connect with them because all of our life experiences and cultural differences is different. So there's a disconnect between me and a lot of people are going through. But I'm trying to my best to understand where they're coming from and sort of not to kind of give them this attitude that's just because I was born in the United States, that's just this is how things are done. I sort of try to see this world from their point of view, I guess. It's an exercise for me in patience and gratitude, I guess.
So do you think this is more of a safe place for you? Seems like you're a little bit like introverted. I mean, China.
It's different. In China, I may be a very introverted person, but when I'm in the States, when I'm in an element, I could be very outgoing and very flamboyant. But it just depends. I don't feel very safe kind of expressing the personality of me that's very outgoing and progressive, really, because you can't really go around here wearing too much makeup or dress too flamboyantly, otherwise you will get looks, right? As like a lot of people expect that getting looks from just people on the street. So you sort of have to blend in a little bit, otherwise you will stick out like a sore thumb. So it's a finesse you have to kind of navigate in this world.
But is that part of that progressive kind of attitude where you have to be courageous and be you? So in a way that you lived in US, you can be you, right? And where now you're in China and you feel like you have certain fear, regardless what that fear is coming from.
Yeah,
why stay there? When you have that kind of fear, why stay there?
Well, at the end of the day, I wouldn't change who I am as a person, but I would just change the expression of me as a person to fit the world I'm in. But I think to answer your question, we always think life is better elsewhere, but sort of the problem of life doesn't change just because where you are. And the intricacy of that problem might change a little bit, but the essence of that problem doesn't really change just because you are a different locale. So at the end of the day, the problem of me trying to build a family in the United States or here in China is the same, to make a real everlasting connection, which I have problem with, really. Even though I am very outgoing in the United States, I'm less outgoing here in China. But also, this problem stays that I have trouble making a very lasting and everlasting kind of bond with another human being. I have trouble of letting my guard down and let myself be vulnerable with the other person, because this is not part of me that I'm comfortable with. It's not how I was brought up. So it's just something I just have to figure out on myself wherever I am. But I think it helps, it helps to put a lot of things into perspective, especially when you're a different culture. Especially when you're traveling, you see how people are living in different cultures and different kind of civilization. You see how they deal with kind of the intricacy of life's essential problem, that how they interact with people and how they build a family and how they spend their time. And you sort of put everything into perspective and think about how you should spend your time and spend your energy.
So from what I'm hearing is that what you're saying is, when you lived in America alone, at least your perspective was your questions were singular, which is, why am I not meeting the right person in this kind of very progressive environment? Where now you live in China, where you say, wait, it's a different environment. I have a different kind of personality and life, yet I'm having the same issues or problems. So maybe it's not the environment, it's not the other people, it's me. So you have more focus on me. You're shifting that kind of questions towards yourself. Wouldn't that be fair to say, or?
I think it's sort of in United States, it's easier for me to make friends, like casual friends or serious friends or friends that I can talk about a lot of things with. But here, I am more isolated. It's sort of, there's more time for me to think about the deeper things, like what I want to get out of life and how I want to invest my time as a human being in real life. It's sort of more introspective. And sort of in the United States, more like your energy is spent outwards into socializing with your friends or like towards a cause. Like I was volunteering at LGBTQ center, so I made a lot of like connections through through our LGBTQ friends. So yes, United States, I have a lot more friends in real life, but here I have more time to think about what's really important for me and how I should be, how I want to spend my life.
Well, I love that reflection about when you are in America, you are more seeking outward, where in China, you are more seeking inward. That's something that I really like.
Well, it's sort of the environment has the effect on you, right? Each different environment kind of foster a different kind of mentality in you, and then you sort of get whatever you want to get, or get whatever you want, are destined to get out of each different situation. Like, be it you're traveling, or you are working in a different culture, or you are, in your element. All those scenarios, you can get different things out of it, and sort of you have to figure out what those lessons are from each different environments, and sort of how that's applicable to you as a human being to better spend your time on Earth.
What about the family interaction? Like, you were obviously brought up being a bilingual, I guess, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I have a very Western kind of interaction with my family. I'm not very close with my mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really close with them. I'm sort of have a very adult kind of interaction with them. So I just kind of talk to them whenever I want to talk to them. But whenever I don't talk to them, we just assume that we are living our life as, individuals in real life. Like, we don't have this dependency. Like, kind of, there's oftentimes Chinese family, they are very codependent. They sort of like, a lot of their interaction is kind of dependent on each other. And when you're interacting with this person, you're sort of interacting with the whole family around them. We are just individuals. And we just live our daily life. My mom has her family, and my dad has his family. I sort of have 2 cats and a lot of plans, and there's a lot of things I want to do. I want to pick up surfing again. I want to snowboard. I want to boulder. There are a lot of things I want to be better at. So we're just different individuals.
From last description, so should I assume that your parents are separated or divorced? So they moved on with their separate lives?
Okay, my mom has 3 marriages. First one was with my dad, and second one with my previous stepdad, and now with her in her third marriage is with her third husband. I have 2 stepbrothers that I'm not really close with, and then my dad's family. He has only 2 family. The first one with my mom, and the second one with my stepmom. And then I have a half brother on my father's second family.
Oh, I see.
So a very, I guess, a modern kind of non-traditional Chinese family, but very kind of reorganized. And
so do you think that kind of family background makes you more longing for a long-term connection, or does it make you feel like, well, life is fleeting, right? So we should be focused on now, in terms of what we what we can get out of this particular time segment or period of time. So how do you think that impacts you from your family background in terms of relationship wise?
I have a really close relationship with my mom and then I sort of talk to her about it sometimes. She always cautioned me against being too hung up on finding a romantic partner, because she knows that I come out to my family really early on, like in my teen years when I was in high school. So they had known this for a long time. So I had more time to deal with it. And I talk about a lot of these things with my mom, and her words of advice for me is, she knows that it's hard, especially as a single American Chinese man, to find a sort of romantic partner. It's not as easy as when you are kind of straight man. So she cautioned me against being too hung up on finding a romantic partner, and then instead to make my time as worthwhile as as I can be, to do things I want to do, to not to spend too much of my energy to find a romantic. Well, a romantic partner would be ideal and good, but it's not sort of the end all be all of everything.
But do you long for one?
I guess we long for companionship, right? But I think at this point, it's not really realistic for me to have this kind of longing. It's also not very healthy. So I'm just, if I happen onto one, great. If I don't, I would be fine being by myself and retiring by myself and living by myself to the end of time. That's sort of how I am right now.
I will visit you.
I mean, I would visit you. I haven't been to Yunnan ever. I've been to Yunnan and Lijiang when I was like fresh out of high school. We did a high school kind of graduation trip to Yunnan.
Yeah,
A bunch of friends went to Yunnan for a little bit, but it's very hazy because I don't remember of all the things that we did, and also it was also a long time ago, so it would be nice to go back to Yunnan and see what it's like, especially to meet you in real life, I guess.
We should definitely do that. But the thing is, you seems like you're prepared for our topics, and you're like one of the most responsible kind of guests we have invited. So do you actually see yourself as an overachiever in your life? I mean, at the very beginning, I thought probably Asian kids are being pushed a lot by the parents, right? So that most of the Asian kids are like overachievers or something. But I don't know whether it's from your family or something. And
how do you define overachievers, though? I don't know.
From at least from the 简历, right? From your resume, that I would imagine that you have PhD in pharmaceutical research, right? Pharmaceutical field. And also I feel like you're probably financially relatively comfortable, right? So from both of those two aspects, and you're young, good looking, and have a deep thoughts of your own, right? So that I would say would say that you are a very successful person, right? In other people's eyes, 你就是别人家的孩子了，对吧？
对。
But
so how do you feel like you are 别人家的孩子?
I think with every Asian kid, and especially with my family, I feel like however much I have achieved, it's never enough, because Chinese parents are not really good with doling out compliments and complimenting you when you achieve something. They show love by withholding compliments. That's why you always want to achieve more. That however much you achieve, you sort of couldn't be satisfied because there's always more to achieve. So for me, even though you may think that I'm relatively successful, but in my eyes, there's always area for me to improve on. And I sort of don't spend a lot of time thinking about where I am and how much I achieve. I sort of spend more time thinking about how much more I want to achieve and how much more I could be doing. That's more, that's that's making the real, just sort of taking advantage of like my time here, like limited time here on Earth, like taking full advantage, I guess. That's yeah.
I was in your shoes. I was in your shoes, Stephen. But I think I've come out of it because I feel like I could do more. But now, from what I have done, it's enough. So I think there was one period of time that I was struggling about that question: is it enough? When is it enough? And then I was able, I don't know when, but I was able to come out of it and say, you know what, this is enough. I think, yeah.
You were sort of a different place in life. You have a family to take care of, and you have sort of your retirement plan you're working on. For me personally, I'm thinking about how I can be of service, and also how I could be. I want to go to Hawaii, go to the different surf spots to surf, and to go to different kind of ski resort to snowboard, that kind of thing. And there are so many things that I want to travel to that I haven't had the chance to fully travel to yet. So there's a lot of things that I just want to be doing. This, I guess, in short, that's just so much more I want out of life.
Got it. So what's your plan? What's your next step?
Slowly work my way towards my next step is to kind of perfect my surfing. I want to pick up surfing again and be better at it. So the latter half of 2024, I want to make a commitment to myself to surf more. Yeah. But I was thinking about whether I should spend more time doing flag football or doing more football, but this sort of football thing, it's really not happening here locally. So I guess surfing is some sort of solitary sport I can get better at. And yeah.
Sounds like we have already known a little bit more about Stephen. So Mark, I'm gonna ask this crazy question again.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah. Stephen, if you were to have a superpower, and what kind of superpower you would like to have? I mean, don't think about responsibility or anything.
Well, for me, it's really simple: flight. Being able to, the power to fly.
And why?
Because I don't know. To me, I was always dream about flying, and to me, it's the ultimate escape route for you. If you want to get out of a situation, you can just fly. Or if and when you want to get to next destination, you can just fly there. So to me, it's flight. In my younger years, I was thinking about invisibility, but I think I was just sort of don't know where I was in the world, and then sort of thinking being invisible would be sort of the solution to a lot of things. But now I'm just thinking of flight. Just like Superman. Yeah.
Does it matter to you, like if you fly slow or fly fast?
I mean, we can't fly really fast because we are human beings. Our body is not indestructible. So I guess
it's a superpower. You can imagine however you would like. You can be 孙悟空. You can be 孙悟空一个筋斗是吧？18000里。
If it takes 2 days, then wow.
Well, I mean, in my rational mind, I'm thinking, even if it's a superpower, the laws of physics still applicable. You still need to be, you are still human being. You are not from Krypton, or you are not actually Superman. So you're not alien. So your human body, you can only do what your human body is capable of doing. But yeah.
So everybody, this is Stephen, our special guest tonight. And thank you very much for joining us, Stephen. And thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay. And great seeing you, Stephen. I will catch you soon.
Yeah, catch you.
Hopefully we can see Stephen a little bit more often in the future.
It was a great honor for me to be on the podcast and talking to you guys and spend the amount of time that we spend here. So yeah.
And thank you very much, Stephen. Bye-bye, everyone.
I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.